Hey everybody from Windy Acre Bees. I think I'm probably gonna put this at the beginning of the swarm trap assembly video. What I want to do is I want to give you a layout of the components and their sizes to make a swarm trap. And all in all, when you figure out all the wood, the brads, and maybe in your ventilation, it probably costs you about $50 or so to make one of these traps. So when you have a 4x8 sheet of 1/2 inch plywood, use the sanded plywood. It's cheaper than the regular roofing plywood that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can make at least two, almost three traps out of a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So we're going to get right to it. The first thing you're going to want is you're going to want a base. So your base is going to, and this is all 1/2 inch, except for this piece here. But basically your base, and we'll show you right here, is right here. And this is what everything is going to set on, is on your base. So you want that piece 9¼ inches wide by 20 inches long. And again, 1/2 inch in thickness. So that is your base. Your next part is going to be your front and rear pieces. They're going to be 8 times 18 or 8 inches wide by 8 inches long. Again, 1/2 inch. Okay, so you're going to need 2 of those and 1 base for 1 trap. Your third components is going to be your sides, which is this piece right here, and that is going to be 18 inches wide by 20 inches long, and that's also 1/2 inch. Your other piece here is going to be the top of your lid, which is up here, and you can see that's only 1/8 inch Luan. Preferably use Luan than plywood. Plywood just breaks apart a lot easier. But so anyways, that piece is going to be 11 inches wide by 21¾ inches in length. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So now I'm going to show you with this trap here because I already got them marked out, I think. But your frame for your lid up here is 20 3/8 long, and the front pieces here are 11 inches wide. And you can see how I have these screwed into the back side of these rails here. This stuff here and this hanger and the skis that are on the bottom, and I'll show you those in a minute, those are only 1x3 furring strips. If you use regular 1x3 pine, it's more expensive per foot. Furring strips a lot cheaper. So we're all about keeping costs down. So that's your lid, and basically this is what it looks like when it's finished off. So your other pieces that you're going to need, again, any scrap wood that you have hanging around, it's at least a 1x2 piece of scrap wood. And or if you have 1x3 and you just want to, like this right here, this is a 1x3 by 8 foot long, and I cut them down, but I ripped these in half and I got more out of them, more handles out of the way. But that's what they're for, is 4 handles. Now these are a little wider just because I had them laying around and I just threw them on there. But basically this is your handle on each side of the box, and you would staple these in here. Your other piece, those are 8 inches. Cut all those at 8 inches wide. Your other piece here that is going to be also 8 inches. So when you're doing your 8-inch markings, cut these too. This is only scrap. Once I got done cutting all these 1/2 inch pieces of plywood here, I have all these little scraps left over. So these we use for the hangers, for the frame hangers. And basically, as you can see inside here, that's where the hanger goes. You're going to basically take this and you're going to put it inside like that, and you're going to staple it to the box right here. And then once you get that done, I don't know what I did with it. I lost it already. So bear with me. We're going to grab a frame. So basically, if you have your frames, those hangers are going to set in there just like that. Okay, so those are going to be 8 inches long, and they don't have to be much more than 1.5 inches. About an inch and a half as far as your height is concerned right here. So let's put that back up there. As you see, I got a bunch of frames here that got to get cleaned up, and I have a lot more outside too. So we got our handles that I showed you right here, our frame rests, and then our next component would be for ventilation. This was all one piece of just a soffit vent, $2 at Home Depot. And I cut them into 3 ways, so I have 3 of them. And then I can take these, and as you see here, I put an 1.25 hole, 1.5 hole there, and then I take that piece and I put it right over and staple it in the box. Now you don't have to use these. As you can see on the back, there's like screen on the back. If you have screen laying around, you can buy, or just buy some screen. You can use screen as well for the ventilation, or cover the ventilation holes. You can use those. These here, I have some extra soffit vents laying around, so I'm using those on the top and the bottom. Whatever you want to use for ventilation, as long as the bees can't work themselves in and out of those holes, because when you go to move them and they come flying out of those holes at you, you're going to have a little bit of a surprise. Now, the skis. These are the skis on the bottom. Right here, again, 1x3 furring strip. I just put them the length of the box, anywhere between 15 and 19 inches long, and I staple them to the bottom so that that ventilation always stays open. You're not resting the box flat on the ground or flat on a bricks or something like that. It actually offsets off the ground just a little bit. And it keeps ventilation underneath that box so that if you do set it on the ground, it doesn't rot you. The ground doesn't rot the plywood on the bottom. So those are your components there. Now, as you can see here, I have 2 types of hangers. The only, what I do is I take some leftover 1x3 and I shim this out, because if I don't, this lid right here, this hanger will press too tight against this lid and you won't be able to get the lid up and down. So I have to shim that out just a little bit, just like that. As you can see the difference right there. That way that lid does come on and off. That is the way I make most of my traps, but I'm limited on the side of the tree that I couldn't put it on. So if the tree is right here, and I want this box facing this way, then I have to I have to put it on the right side of the tree. So I drilled holes through here. This piece here, I believe, was 19 inches high. It was a 1x3. So that is this piece right here. Okay. And then I have a 3-inch piece of 1x3, and that goes right there behind that hanger. And there's a piece of Luan there because I had to bring it out just a little bit more. I will leave those over here, and then I take some 1/4-inch carriage bolts that are 2.5 inches long and with wing nuts on the inside, and I put them through, and that holds, I can lift this up, that holds the hanger on. The carriage bolts I do because I can unscrew them at the, when I'm not using these boxes, and I can set this hanger here inside the box and then put the lid on it, and now I can stack these boxes up one on top of each other without that hanger being in the way. So that is the only downfall to that type of hanger, is you're limited to what side of the tree or wherever you're putting this on. Of course, there's a hole right there in the middle. So that limits what side I can put it on. So I'm going to show you the difference between that hanger there. So if you choose to go a different route, what I did is I put a block, a 1x3 piece of block there, and I put one on the other side. And this gives me a little bit more maneuverability, and I'll show you why. To get this lid off here, it's pretty tight. What I did is this is just coated wire, and you can see, compared to my finger here, it's not very thick at all, but it's still strong enough to hold this. I crimped the ends inside the box. I put the wire on the inside of the box here, and then I crimped it so that the wire doesn't pull back out. And now I can hang this with on either side. I can move this wire to the right side or to the left side, and that's going to allow me to, let's say this is the front here, whereas that trap up there, I can only put it on the right side of the tree because the hanger's on the left. Well, here's the hanger on the left right here, similar to that one there, but if I want to take this and I want to put it over here on this side of the tree, all I have to do is move this wire over to this side, and then I can hang that on the left side of the tree, or I can maneuver it basically on any part of the tree wherever I put that spike in. So there's the holes there for the entrance, and I use entrance discs. They're very cheap to buy from Better Bee or Man Lake, and I put these entrance discs on here, just like you see here, just with a screw. You're going to want the screw just a tiny bit smaller than the hole that it's going through so it swivels, but that way I can open and close those discs. So that's the other component you might want to grab. You don't have to have an entrance disc on here if you don't want to order them. Just whenever you're going to move these bees around, you can put a piece of duct tape on here temporarily to keep that entrance closed, bring them home, or whatever it is you're going to do with them. And that's it. So like I said, all this stuff put together, probably only about $50-$55 for everything. And your brads or your staples are going to be 1/2 inch staples, and you're going to use those for things like the lid here. And then 1 inch to 1 1/4 inch. So you can do your thicker pieces of wood like your handles here, and then also for the frame rests on the inside. And then you're going to want 1.5 inch to go inch and 1/4 to 1.5 inch staples or crown staples to go from through here and into this wood. And you're going to want them going in pretty deep so they hold real good. So we're going to dive into part 2 of this video, how to assemble this swarm trap. Now that you've seen all the components that are needed and the dimensions of these. If you can't figure out a dimension or whatever, please let me know in the comment section of this video, and I will go through them and I'll answer your questions on the sizes. If you get a chance, get on Amazon, pick up Thomas Seeley's book called Honeybee Democracy. You'll also be able to find these dimensions in there as well, and the book is a great read anyways. Anybody who's into beekeeping, whether they set up swarm traps or not, should read this entire book. It's fascinating. So stay tuned for part 2, and we'll see you in a bit.